Into the perfect. All right. All right, you guys, ladies. Thank you so much for everyone staying and hanging out. I can't believe you guys really took the like a lot of you guys have been here the whole time. It's been so fun. I'm like super energized by sorry, let me close the door. I'm super energized by all the wonderful information we're able to give to you through this summit. It's been phenomenal. Dottie, you've been here the whole time. I appreciate it too. I'm going to introduce you to who Dottie is, let her share a little bit of her story, and then we will be going through the interview process so you guys can be walked through that player perspective on mindset and saboteur, and I can't wait. Coach B is her name, as her tagline is Born to Coach. She's been doing it for over 50 years. She coached women's basketball at the University of Kentucky, worked with elite athletes in both the ABL, WNBA. She's worked with pro players like Tyson McGuffin, Callie Smith, Lee and Annalie Waters, Sarah Ansberry, in addition to coaches like Nicole Havlicek, CJ Johnson. She's a pickleball ambassador. Her specialty is in court strategy and court awareness. Her passion, though, is in the mental game and how it limits and impacts players in either a negative or a positive manner. Her pickleball MindShift coaching has helped tons of players. I want to welcome Miss Dottie Berry. And thank you for being here. Let's start with your story. Let's start with a little bit of what you do.
Hey, Audrey, it's great to be here. I mean, so many fantastic speakers and all good friends of mine, from the very beginning. So I love listening to everybody and just hearing their feedback and what they've been doing and how they're moving forward. So kudos to everybody who's spoken today. But very quickly, as quick as I can, how I got into pickleball. Well, bottom line is about 5 years ago, I heard this word pickleball 3 times in a row. First from my former trainer at the University of Kentucky, Mimi. She mentioned it. I was like, what is pickleball? And then a client mentioned it and she said, the beamer I have with you, it's helping my pickleball elbow. And I'm going, what is this? What is this pickleball? And so the third time I heard it was a friend had me go with her after a conference to Surprise, Arizona. We go in the people's home. We haven't even sat down at the counter. And the guy says, we're going to go play pickleball tomorrow. And I said, okay, third time's a charm. What is pickleball? He puts down an iPad right in front of me and says, okay, watch these videos. And I said, oh, great. It looks fun. I don't have a paddle. I don't have court shoes. Comes in, puts a paddle in my hand. His wife goes out and gets me a pair of shoes in my size, comes back, no excuses. So I play the next day. And then a couple of weeks later, I head to Hawaii. And I'm so hooked by then that I'm like trying to find out where I can play pickleball. So I play every day. I get on the plane to come home. And this guy sitting beside me, him and his wife said, well, what did you do while you were gone? I said, well, I played pickleball every day. He says, oh my gosh, you have got to know about Tyson McGuffin. He just won triple gold at whatever. And I said, sir, I am so new. I have no idea who Tyson McGuffin is. And he said, well, you just write his name down. You Google him when you get home. Well, I'm very curious. So I did. I found out that he was from the state of Washington. He had a camp coming up. So I signed up for the camp. I go to his camp. This is like 2 months after I started playing. And Tyson finds out I'm from Bellingham. And he says, hey, after camp each day, you want to stay and watch me and Matt Goebel practice, who was his partner. He's from Bellingham. You know him? And I went, no. So I stay and watch every day. Everybody else is tuckered out. Oh, no, I'm watching 2 hours of practice. And then I just start talking to Tyson. And I'm listening to him. He was the first guy to have a mental coach. And then I just said to him, after, the end of camp, I said, what if I could show you something that would help your recovery? Would that be of interest to you? He said, oh, you bet it would. So that started my relationship with Tyson and him using Beamer for recovery. And I've been on loving pickleball ever since. It's like the natural dopamine rush. I love it.
Awesome. That's actually, I'm glad I don't get all the answers of what all of your backstories are, because it always gets so interesting. It's so fun. So the title of your topic today is, has your brain been hijacked how to unlock your mental handcuffs in pickleball. I think this is going to be huge. So for those who are just coming in, the interviews are structured where we're going to talk about pre-game mindset and then work into what you should be thinking about, how to work through your mindset inside a point, inside a game, during a match, and then what to do with it after in our post game. So I almost just want to let you just start talking. I mute myself and you go. But what is that ideal mindset? What principles, what philosophies should we be having as ladies before walking onto the court, before any matches, tournaments, rec play? Let's make sure we also speak a lot to the amateurs. So I think most of us are that in that realm. If we speak to tournaments, I want everyone here to understand it's league play, it's open play, it's anytime you're going out to go play a game to 11, right?
Yeah, because let's face it, 99% of the players are amateurs.
Right.
And any sponsor that wants to get to people, I mean, that's the bread and butter of the game. The pros bring attention, and then they bring their fans to the 99%.
Right.
And so, that's how it works. And it's, it's great. Some people could care less what the pros are doing, and that's fine. But no matter who you are, you really want to know a little bit about yourself. And honestly, I don't think there's a good mindset. I know this is going to be very counterintuitive, but think about it. If you have one mindset and you move to another mindset, it's still set. Set means like set,
Yeah.
and so for over 30 years, I've been talking about mind shifts, because that's really what it's about, is having moment by moment mind shifts. Because if I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I've got the wrong mindset, if I can just tweak one little shift in my mind. But here's the real issue. You cannot solve the problem at the level of the problem. I want to let that sink in for a moment. That's what people try to do. So their mind has them and it's driving them crazy, and they're having an argument with themselves. Think about it. Can anybody win when you're arguing with yourself? No, it's always a loss. So it's really important to be able to identify your saboteurs. Why? It's not to dwell on them, it's to weaken them. When you can identify a saboteur and then move into a sage mode, which, will be ones of curiosity and awareness and navigating different things, you can actually shift that. But you can't do it at the level of the problem. So what does that literally mean? Because a lot of people have been talking about this, but how do you do this?
Right.
Well, I want people to think about this. When a referee announces a score, okay, you have 10 seconds. 10 seconds, that's a long time, in which you have before you have to serve the ball. Now, what most people do is they hear the referee call and then they serve the ball real quick. And guess what? Your opponent's hoping that you will do that. Like, serve it to me as quick as I can. I'm sitting here, I'm ready. Well, in what I work with people with, learning how to have a self-command muscle, which is what I do by identifying the saboteur and moving into the sage mode. I want to get out of my head and into my body, because again, I cannot correct what's going on at the level of the problem, which is my mind. It's ruminating, it's doing all these crazy kind of things. So what I have to learn to do is do something that brings myself into my body. Now, that could be standing there and listening for a sound that I hear. That can be sitting there and doing some deep breaths. That can be sitting there, putting my paddle down and doing what we call PQ reps. PQ reps are positive intelligence quotient. That's what it stands for. Like we have an IQ or we have a positive intelligence quotient, and we do reps. So imagine if you were just to take your 10 seconds, let's say you just took 5 of it and did something that calmed yourself. It wouldn't matter if you turned around 3 times in a circle. Can you imagine your opponent standing over there, like chomping at the bit for you to serve the ball? So you're actually triggering your self-command muscle, so that you're the one in charge. Like, hey, you called the score, but I still got 10 seconds. And if you just go 1001, 1002, 1003, that is a long time. So why do we think we've got to immediately do this serve? And, you know, and in those moments, it's even all about what are we saying to ourselves? You know, a lot of people say, I'm not going to miss this serve. I'm not going to miss this serve. I'm like, you know, I always said in basketball, it's sort of like a coach calling timeout and say, okay, team, we've got 15 seconds left. Now, whatever you do, don't foul, don't foul, don't foul. Now, what does a player do immediately? They foul, the coach calls timeout again. They're mad as everything. I told you not to foul. So you don't tell people what not to do, you tell them what to do. So if I'm serving, I have mantras. I say, I always make my serve. I always make my serve. I always make my serve. I say that even when I rarely miss, because I always make my serve. See, it's got to be anchored in. And as I'm saying that, I'm doing something. I may touch my hand, you know, on the, you know, on my paddle hand, or hit your leg, hit your opposing leg with your paddle. It's like an anchor to your body, because the problem with us playing is that we get into our heads and not in our body. Our body already knows what to do with. You know, would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to reverse you a little bit because you mentioned saboteurs. I had never heard that before. I don't know, people who haven't worked with you. Why don't you talk about that a little bit first and kind of stay in this? I mean, we're already in game, but give me a little pre-game-ish like a little pre-game stuff before you even step on the court. Before you even step on the court, people dealing with that, and what is a saboteur?
Yeah. Okay. So before you step on the court, one of the things is whatever you practice off the court is what you'll do in the game, period. If you have not practiced your physical skill or your mental skill, you will not do it in a game. If you have not become used to calling timeouts, you will not do it in a game. You'll finish the game and go, oh, we were down this or that. How did we get beat this or that? We should have called a timeout. You didn't call a timeout because you had not created a habit, a practice of calling timeouts and have rules around when you're going to call a timeout. So all of this is part of your pre-game setup, your pre-match, whether you're a rec player or what. And what I discover is that most people, whether it's a tournament game or a rec game, don't have any type of plan in place. And this has been mentioned, but you know, what does that mean? Do you know when you receive the ball, okay, just for one thing, are you the offensive or are you the defensive team? I ask people this all the time. And they go, if they're serving, lots of times they'll say, well, we're serving with the offensive team. I go, no. When you're serving, you have two people back. You're the defensive team. Think about this. The goal is to be up at the non-volley zone line. The team receiving is the offensive team because they already have a person up there. They have one of their two people up there. So just because you score when you're serving doesn't mean you're the offensive team. You're the defensive team trying to work your way up there. If you don't have this basic understanding in place, you start the game at a disadvantage, okay? Or when I'm receiving the ball, if I don't have any idea where I want to return the ball, and I can tell you, I want to return the ball. My intention is, if I can, let's say we're starting the game, they serve to me. My intention is to serve that ball down the line, okay, in front of me. Why is that? Because I want to isolate that person. I want to limit their options because pickleball is a game of angles, okay? It's a game of geometry. So if I hit it, you know, cross court, I actually give them 9 different shots they can hit. And I don't know where any of them are going to go. So, I'm just saying that having these little things in mind, from the mental to the physical game, I say, let's just get some of Coach B's M&Ms. And that's bridging the mental with the mechanical. And if you're not practicing both daily before you get into any games, rec or tournaments, it's not going to help you go anywhere. You're going to create chaos, and that chaos is going to create confusion on your part, disappointment, have no idea why you lost. And that makes people eventually lose their joy. I always ask people, why are you feeling like you're losing your joy in pickleball? You started out like little kids, so excited. And think about it. When a kid makes a mistake when they're walking, people don't go, "You're the dumbest little baby I've ever seen. You just fell down. Don't ever try it again."
Right.
You go, "Hey, come on, get back up. Try another step." Well,
Yeah.
that's what we need to do with ourselves. And the problem is, the more we learn and go up in our skill, oftentimes the less joy people have in their games, because they get attached to a very specific outcome of how they think it should be. And sometimes unwarranted. I mean, why do you have a right to expect that you're going to win all your games when you've not even practiced mentally, physically, or anything else?
Let's dive into that. Let's dive into the mental stuff. You said I think we kind of know what we physically need to do. Let's dive into those mental things we need to do. So let's go over the things we say to ourselves, those saboteurs. Let's dive in to what those saboteurs look like, and what is that the sage mode, and let's go into that.
Yeah, I mean, there's about 11 saboteurs. There's the avoider, the hyper rational, the controller. And you did the assessment. Those were your top three.
No surprise.
And then there's restless, hyperachiever, stickler, victim, hypervigilant, pleaser. So, let me ask you this. When you did this and you saw your top three saboteurs, what did you think? Did that seem consistent with how you get impacted?
Repeat the top three again.
Yours were avoider, hyper rational, and controller.
Yes. I do. I don't deal with confrontation very well. I usually avoid it. What was the second one?
Hyper rational.
Yes, I think I'm very everything's very realistic. I treat everything very realistically. Like, I don't shoot too high, shoot too low. Like, here it is what it is. Yes. And then the third one?
And controller.
Oh, just forget it. Yeah.
So, if you're an avoider, I mean, think about this. In pickleball, we have partnerships. It's not about you or me, just me, playing my game over here. It's about a partnership. It's about, how can I set up the play so that my partner and I can be a better team? If I haven't properly set them up, then I may leave them with a shot they can't handle. And that doesn't help the partnership. While we're all sitting there patting ourselves on the back, especially when somebody slams one down, I go, don't get all over excited about the slammer. Go thank the person who set it up. I mean, it's in volleyball, if you don't have a setter, you don't have a spike. In pickleball, if you don't have somebody set it up, you don't have that smash. The smash usually didn't just happen on its own.
Right.
So if you have a partner in pickleball and you're a avoider, that could create some issues, because you don't like to upset the apple cart. And people say, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings. And I go, no, that's actually not accurate. You hurt people's feelings by not being honest with them and not communicating to them how you're really feeling. If you communicate them to how you're really feeling about being on the court, then you have a chance to improve your partnership, But if you avoid talking with them, I mean, let's say you just have something on the court with your partner, although you have a great partnership, that just irritates the heck out of you. Avoiding mentioning that to them is not going to help your partnership. In fact, it's going to hurt it in the end. So, you know, some of these things, I'll tell you, one of my top saboteurs is being restless. Okay. And what that means is I love to do a lot of different things, you know, in my life. I have all my life. You know, people say, just focus on this one thing. I said, but I have so many interests. And I do. But when I get into something, I am so excited about it and into it that I have a tendency to run forward, forgetting that I've got to bring others along with me. Okay. And so that can create a problem because they might think she doesn't really care about me. She just focused on getting this done.
Right.
And the reality is that's not accurate, but I can see how that could be perceived. So I have to be careful about how I deal with people, you know.
Right.
And so all of these things come into play with partnerships.
Right. We should all just know our saboteurs, right? It's just that awareness of what they are. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. If you look at a model of how things work, we are first, like in the subconscious, we're asleep. Okay. We have unconscious incompetence. All right. We're like unaware of a need for on-court strategy, you know, for whatever. And then we come into the conscious incompetence. Okay. We become aware, I have no strategy. I have no mental game strategy. I have no on-court strategy. And that can be kind of frightening, but that aha moment is really cool because in the first one, we're asleep. We don't even know that we don't know. And so then when I become aware that I don't know, then that's my first opportunity to do something about it. So I start, drilling in a specific way. I start having my daily mental rather than thinking the mental is just going to show up. And so then I'm in conscious competence. But conscious competence takes willpower. It's like there's some struggle in it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like knowing where a specific shot needs to be placed on the court, like hitting that spot, as Tracy was talking about. But I have to consciously think about it all the time. And that's still in that conscious realm. Then we go back into the subconscious when we are finally in the unconscious competence. That is when we were in the flow. And that is when we're in our body. You see, our body already knows what to do at that level. We just have to get our head out of the way. How do we know this to be true? Because there are tons of people at the elite levels that know how to do the shot.
Right.
And what separates them is that unconscious competence of being able to stay in their body, stay in the flow. And so that's what we really aspire to. But you can take each of your skills and kind of analyze them and say, am I in that unconscious competence yet? Or am I still in that conscious competence? Okay. And just having that awareness helps you look at where your game is and where it's going. And this may be sort of a higher level thinking for people who are rec players. But if you are a rec player, one of the best things you can do is notice how you talk to yourself. And this is back to the saboteurs. What are you saying to yourself? And it's not to make yourself bad or wrong for what you're saying. It's to get curious about it. And so during the pandemic, I would walk along the bay near the water, and I would carry my paddle in my hand, and I would go down the road doing split steps. And people thought I was crazy. And then I would get to vacant areas, and I would play through points. I think Pickleball Yogi was talking about this too. Visualizing, playing through the point. And also I would say, I love to walk onto the court. When I walk onto the court, I'm in a zone. People absolutely love my energy. They love to partner with me. Now, of course, all of this was, while sometimes that was not the case. But I've got to set up in my mind how I really want to be on the court. And then, I think Pickleball Yogi was talking about that confidence, Now, I would go back and say something about pressure because I was watching the Billie Jean King special the other night, and she reminded me that pressure is a privilege. I don't think we can toss it, negate it. It's there, no matter what we say, you know. And so I think what we do is we embrace it. It's like embracing the chaos. If we try to avoid chaos, mental or physical, think about this, Audrey. The more we try to push it away, the more it's like connected to us.
Yeah, 100%.
And so if I embrace the chaos, then it allows me to move through it. And again, the things that allow me to move through it is going back to my body, using my senses, sight, hearing, touch, to center into my body versus staying hooked up in my mind, because I cannot solve the problems at the level of the problem, which is my mind ruminating and so forth.
You're getting getting some love in the chat. Good. It's all so good. I'm like, you just keep talking. You just keep talking. So all that makes 100% so good. Then you've worked through these saboteurs. Now, what is this sage thing you're talking about?
Oh yeah, the sage is really fascinating. I want to go over here for a second and just pull up something I have. If I can just get on it here. Hang on a second.
Sure, some love, you guys in the chat. How good is all this information?
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, and the sage, I think you'll recognize some of this as what it can do for you, but there's 5 sage powers. One is empathize. And that's to feel and show appreciation, compassion, forgiveness. One thing research has found is that you cannot shift out of poor habits through willpower. Doesn't that sound counterintuitive? And the reason is that willpower is like a muscle that's finite. If you don't believe me, notice how many people make New Year's resolutions and don't stick to them. And the reason is they do it at the level of willpower. Willpower runs out, period. It's finite. So one of the first things you have to do is empathize and learn compassion and forgiveness. And you cannot offer that to somebody else if you can't offer it to yourself. So it all began, this is where it does all begin with you. It's all about me now. But when it's all about me and learning compassion and empathy and so forth, then that enables me to offer it to somebody else. And this is needed when there's really strong feelings about something. It may be somebody out in the pickleball world where they've harmed you. I've had enough situations of this in 70 years of life that if I got all stoked out every time something like this happened, I have to realize we're all on our own journey and we're doing the best we can with the tools we have in the moment. I can look back and see where I caused harm. I mean, say yes, I've caused harm before in the chat if you've done that. We all have. And I have to go back and have self-compassion. And one of the things we can do is visualize our inner child. I'm going to show you something right now. This is my all-time favorite picture of myself. This is little Dottie. Now, I am there. I have my hands clasped. I am ready for life. And that's who I am, no matter what has colored my life and impacted my life. A lot of things have in 70 years, as you can imagine. But that's who I still am. And I have to go back and love that child, remember that child. And when I'm dealing with somebody else with an issue, I can bless them on their journey. But first, I want to visualize them as a child. I want to visualize them as their perfect self. So that's the number one sage power that we're trying to activate through our self-command by letting go of the saboteurs. And we can't let it go of something that we don't acknowledge. Right. Like if I'm judging, I can't get into sage without getting curious about Why am I judging? What's making me do that? Why am
Yeah.
I judging that pickleball player? Why am I judging their success? Why am I judging me?
Yeah.
So one of the
What are
number,
the other ones? Yeah. What's the other ones?
yeah. So explore. And that's when we just get curious. We're open. We have wonder, fascination. And it's needed when trying to, I say, further understand an issue. You know, you got to explore things. Let me get curious about why this issue exists, either with myself or with somebody else. Be like this fascinating anthropologist. You're just like digging through to see what you can discover. So that's number 2. Number 3 is navigate. And navigate is deciding a specific path with alternatives. That's like having plan A and then also having plan B, plan C. So my intention, going back to the return of serve, is to hit it down the line. We know that we can't always get that where we want it, because some of it depends on where they hit us the serve. But that's my intention. And I tell my partner, you get ready to come over and poach, you really straddle that line in the middle, because I'm going to limit their options. If I can get it really deep in that corner, we're going to limit those options. And somebody says, well, what if they do that cross court drop? I said, well, you better get ready to cover it for one thing. But if they do one that is so good, we'll clap for them. Because think about it, even the pros can't always hit that shot.
Nope.
What makes us think at 3-5, 4-0, 4-5 that we're going to hit that consistently?
They don't
Clap
even do it.
for 'em.
Yep. I
Yeah,
agree.
clap for them. So anyway, that's the navigation part, where you're looking at the path, having alternatives in your game plan. What are you going to do in the backup?
Perfect.
And so another one is activate. And that's like when you just move into pure action. It's a moment. This is your time. I mean, it's like recognizing in the game, rec or otherwise, this is a situation. We can do a crash and go strategy with this group. Let's practice it. Who cares if we mess up? Now you might not want to do that constantly in the match if you haven't been practicing it, but especially in rec play, I like what people say. I say part of the mental prep is to absolutely be willing to make mistakes. Be willing to look foolish. I have coaching where I teach dynamite doubles, Hellspar's system. And one of the first things I do when they come on court, as I said, this is a laboratory for pickleball. I could care less about what you already know and that you do well. We're not here to do well what you already know. You can't learn it way. And I make them say, is everybody in? Is everybody committed to really utilizing these 2 hours together to do things you're uncomfortable doing? And then we clap for people when they make mistakes. I mean, it's
Right. Instead of sulking over it, it's not going to make you better, right?
yeah.
It's
And
like
we got to be rewarded,
Yeah. What's that
And
last one?
yeah, and so one of the things you say with the activate is, what is one area of your pickleball game that could use some great new perspective? Take a look at it and then work to activate that. Write it down, see what you want to do. Yeah, so we've got these various powers that we can work on. And honestly, I can get into this more because part of my free gift is a one-on-one coaching session for people, and I will actually send them a link to do this assessment, and then we'll be able to discuss more specifically for them. But most of us can self-identify in some way our saboteurs by how we're talking to ourselves right now. One of my favorites is when somebody makes a mistake and they hit themselves on the leg. My friend does this. I love Melinda, and she'll call herself by her middle name with her first name. It's like chastising herself. And when we chastise ourselves for making a mistake, people say, well, what could I say? I said, well, one of the things I say is next time. Next time tells me that's gone. And then I say, is now. Next time is now. And then I anchor with my body, touch or deep breathing. Because, the next point is now. I can't be ruminating, the saboteur's ruminating in my mind about the last point or the point before it. That doesn't make me a good partner. And I can't key on my partner making a mistake. The first thing a person should do when their partner makes a mistake, turn to them immediately. Watch people's body language. Partner makes a mistake and the partner turns away from them. You think your partner doesn't see that, doesn't feel that? It takes so little to implement these things into your present game while you're in the moment. Turn towards your partner and come back. Take your 10 seconds, because PQ reps, let me just say, are always done in 10-second increments. So how perfect is that for pickleball when you have those 10 seconds? Or you have 10 seconds to turn to your partner and say, we've got this. It's not the time to say, really, if you had done this or that during that last point, oh my gosh, I can't hear any of that stuff.
Next time is now. We're going to tell everyone's going to start using this. Next time is right now. They make a mistake. Next time is right now.
Yeah.
So good. So good. We're running out of time a little bit. So we have a few minutes. I think you moved in.
One thing I do want to bring up, because I said I was going to mention this, and it's been the unspoken thing that people have talked about. So many people do great things for themselves, health-wise. They take supplements, they exercise, they're working on their game, they're working on their mental, this and that. But one of the things that impacts mental that people are not always willing to talk about is alcohol use. Okay, now I'm not saying to people right now, oh, you better quit, you better do this. You don't have to do anything. You're an adult. But I have so many people today who are saying, I said I was only going to have something on the weekend, and I'm having something 3 other times during the week. And then what they're doing is they're having a battle with themselves in their mind. And this is what's called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when you say you're going to do one thing and you do something else. And so the level of change happens in the liminal mind, which is between the conscious and the subconscious. We can do a whole lot on this, but all I'm saying is that if that's something people want to take a look at, it's not about, oh, I got to go sober. Maybe you want to get sober curious. I want to get curious about the role alcohol is playing in my life. I always say I want it to be tiny and insignificant, and so if you were experiencing right now, thinking about January, part of my offer in doing a coaching session, offering you the assessment, is to be able to join in with the group of pickleball women who want to just get curious about what role they want alcohol to play in their life. In other words, what do you want your relationship with alcohol to be? So I wanted to throw that in because this is a part of the mental. Because, see, alcohol, the great is that you get the 20-minute high, and that's an artificial dopamine part that happens. But then the body wants to create homeostasis again. So dynorphin kicks in, which is what makes you feel a little bit down. And, you can look at that, talk about that. There's just a lot of awareness that people don't have about how when you have, okay, before the match, okay, night before, people might say, well, I'm only going to have something, around 4 or 5, and that won't have any impact the next day. Well, it does, because it takes 48 hours for alcohol to even get out of your body. So I'm just saying, these are, I think, some discussion points that we all need to be having in our society today, because it's so much a part of our culture.
I love it. I know we can go on forever. We could go. We'll definitely do like a post party with Dottie, because I know she didn't give everything she wanted. I know there's definitely more, and I love that, because women are social too, right? We play pickleball socially, and social players drink. Like, And so knowing how that affects your body could help you, how you're going to play the next day. So there's more. We're going to hang out with you more. If you have more time with us, we'll hang out and talk more and get these ladies hooked up. Let us know where our viewers where they can find you and what projects you have going on for 2024.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, you can find me Pickleball Forum for Women. We've got a group of about 7,000 women, and that's the best place because in terms of personal friends, I always sit at around 5,000. Not because I'm extremely popular, but years ago when anybody could be our friend, and now I need to go through and weed out people, to be quite honest, because I can't add in my great pickleball people. But that's one of those, cleanup things I need to do first of the year. And anyway, also on Instagram, it's Pickleball Women. Okay. So follow us there. We're going to be doing more there this coming year. I've done a lot of different events. We had Rosie's Rendezvous event at Nationals a year ago. We had Rosie's Rendezvous event at we always have fun doing events. But I'm going to be doing more events in 2024. But I do have one big thing we'll be doing, which is a trip to Australia in 2024 October. And we will be going there, enjoying, of course, all of Australia, but also playing pickleball and coaching and teaching the Aborigines. And this is going to be really exciting. I was going to take a second group back to Bhutan, but quite honestly, with my sister passing away in August and my mom's age-related dementia, progressing, I need to spend more time with her. So that's going to be one big trip. But I'm really keen on my pickleball escapades, which is putting together really custom trips for women. Like if you have a group of women and you want that put together, hit me up. When you come in and get my coaching call, you're going to get my cell phone, which I rarely ever give out to people. I'm not going to just mention it here. You opt in, you get it. And yeah, so find us there. And, I'm excited that we put out this book. And Jody Belcher, my co-author, is going to be on later talking about, because you know what? Empowered women empower other women. If you don't feel empowered yourself, it's like going back to self-compassion. You're not going to have it for others. If you can't tap into feeling empowered, you're not going to empower other women. You're going to, gossip and do all that stuff that is so destructive. Leave that alone. My word for 2024 is joy. Let's bring more joy to the pickleball court, to our lives, to everywhere. So those are some of the places that you can find me.
Perfect. Thank you. You guys go find her. She's everywhere. Pickleball Farm for Women. Her free gift, remember, is just go into the email, I'll post it again here. You get to work with her. She'll tell you exactly how to find your saboteurs. She will do a free assessment for you guys. She'll take you through everything because she has obviously a lot more to share. We do have Leslie Roberts coming on in like 3 minutes. So I just want to say thank you so much. You guys show her some love in the chat. One word. Okay, you said joy, but give me one last thing you want to share with the audience. Short. One last thing, short advice for the ladies here.
Believe in you. You just be you. And Perfect. When you are you, everything else takes care of itself because that's real, that's authentic. And I love Leslie. She's my personal trainer.
I know, we got the whole crew in here. You guys shoot her some love. Say thank you to the chat in the chat. Dottie, I really appreciate you. You had so much valuable information. That was fantastic.
There's so much to share, Audrey. At 70, it's hard.
Whatever. Thank you so much. We'll talk. We'll be in touch.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. Bye.